Do you remember that moment when something unexpected happened? And instead of stepping back, you move closer. You feel a little fear, but it's also curiosity. Goosebumps start to rise, a sense that something is about to change. That's how it was for me, the first time I played. At the time, I was playing games like Uncharted 3 and Assassin's Creed 2. I enjoyed them, but somehow I wasn't really in them anymore. I felt like I was watching stories unfold, not living inside them. You know, I was in the strange part of adolescence where you're trying to figure out who you are, and those characters, they already knew who they were. They were sure, stylish, untouchable, and I wasn't. The stories then were explosive and spectacular, but the gameplay felt like it was just serving the narrative. Complete objective, cutscene, new destination, repeat. I was definitely craving for something else. And so, one day, while I was wandering to a small local video game shop, I saw it. A warrior surrounded by a red mist. No famous hero, no smuggling, just a figure. And yeah, this is the exact copy. It's been through a lot. Anyway, I hadn't read it about it, so no expectations. And on the way home, reading through the manual, it felt like I was opening a door to a new world. So now, come with me as I relive these moments, discovering how they shaped me then and how I work through them now. Night was obviously my go-to choice, and I remember clearly that the very first thing that amazed me wasn't the atmosphere, it was the fact that you could choose how to wield your weapon. I was easily impressed. The first enemies were a piece of cake, even with fat roll. It was just as intended, a safe space to learn the controls, and a gentle way to hand you a false sense of confidence. And look, this is probably a good moment to tell you, I will not pretend that every move and struggle will be recreated here. That's not the point. Today, I've got experience of almost all the From Software games behind me. I know what I can expect. I'm fairly confident. Okay, maybe I'm a bit rusty, it's been over 10 years since I last touched Demon's Souls, but I remember exactly how I felt back then, and it was not wonder. Oh no, it was anger. Why did I have to lose? What was the purpose of that? The game wouldn't even let me retry from a checkpoint. I just couldn't accept it. So I started the game over and over, thinking that was a skill issue. You know, games were normally full of apparently impossible foes, but the whole idea was to overcome them, not to get crushed by them. And honestly, I would really like to tell you, after many tries, I discovered what was lurking behind the boss, but I didn't. And for the best, probably.
Of the lost withdrawn from its vessel. Let strength be granted so
But
the
in that
world
failure,
might be mended.
in that frustration, something sparked.
So the world might be mended.
I had no sense of where I was or what I should be doing. No waypoints, no main quest. It was a new feeling to not be guided. So the only thing I could think to do was listen, learn something from the NPCs, and I did.
I'm Stockpile Thomas.
Inventory had a way to manage.
Name's Baldwin.
Weapons could break over time. Oh yeah, and that.
Oh, Mbasa.
Only later did I understand, thanks to him, that this was a hub, and these stones will carry you to different areas. So I pushed forward with a mix of irritation and curiosity.
Hunting for demons? Try one of the archstones.
which truthfully became amusement. I admit it, if something even vaguely resembled a dragon, I couldn't help but light up. Still do, by the way. However, even that quickly passed, as it was ambushed, misled, and lured into traps. None of that was new to me. But here, it felt different. It wasn't staged. I was used to games that perform danger. They raised the curtain when it was time. They give you a cue. They frame the moment, so you never miss what mattered. And if you fail, cut. Repeat the scene. This game seemed to refuse that format. Here, danger was built into the world itself. Your experience wasn't delivered, it was discovered. And dying was part of that process. You were the actor. You could get completely destroyed. Miss interesting NPCs. Be too much terrified to go somewhere. Or ignore very apparent clues. And it gives you back something rare, a chance to act differently. Now I may avenge the past. I have to beat him. I know this is a dead end, but I don't care. Porca troda! That move gets me every time. I need a different strategy. That's much better. I need to stay focused. Now I also need a safe window to heal. Maybe now. No. Let's put something between me and him, shall we? Now hit, then back off, and I drop my guard at the worst possible moment. Guard, hit, back off, but I can only counterattack if I block first. This is going to be a long fight. Guard, attack, guard, attack, guard, attack. Don't you dare heal in front of me. Only a few hits left. Too aggressive. No. Don't! Yeah, finally. And with this, I will not stop in there. You beautiful shining Australia. You must be saved. Yeah, okay. Let me do it with style. Good enough.
Accept this as a token of my gratitude.
Thanks. Where are we going?
Now I must go.
Yeah, let's be safe, okay? I don't want you to die and lose you again. Finally. The next act is a bit more dangerous. The dragon nest, the horde. To claim it, I need to lure the red one out. And then I sprint for my life. 6 treasures. In theory, that's just enough time. 1, 2, 3. Tail is in position, go, no hesitation. 4. If I wasn't an idiot, maybe I could get them all. This now should be easy. Regain the swords. 5 and 6. Oh! I screwed up the timing, but I survived. And honestly, some of those items were worth the effort. But, most important of all, I'm... oh! Bonus! Anyway, I redeemed myself. And speaking of it, one last thing, before I can say I'm even. Hello, Blob. I know your weakness now. You hate fire. This is getting a bit slow. Let's spice it up. Oh, your minions are protecting you? Don't worry. They're going down. And same goes for you now. That was a pain in the ass back then. Strike by strike, I still get shivers. Now I'm even. And I should tell you something.
Welcome back. The monumental awaits the above.
Demon Souls is packed with hints about the world around you. But past me, didn't pick up on any of it. He barely even registered what NPC said. So, out of that,
In the distant past.
the only thing it came true was, demons were bad. You must kill them. Only one lore speech did stuck with him.
But spells are the acts of demons.
Magic looked edgy. I must use magic. Yeah, that was my adolescent logic at work. And to be fair, it was good logic. Magic is kind of overpowered. Even so, it wouldn't have helped me there. Experience or not, this is something that never really changes. Outrun the dragon, kill the enemies, save Australia, get ambushed by dogs, die. Outrun the dragon, kill the enemy in the corner, lure the dogs by chunks, ooh, shiny things, die. Outrun the dragon, kill the enemy in the corner, lure the dogs by chunks, wait, following the correct path, fighting knights, die. Outrun the dragon, kill the enemy in the corner, lure the dogs by chunks, wait, following the correct path, straight to the fog. However, that was a completely different problem. I'd probably still fighting him to this very day, if it hadn't been for a kind phantom. I didn't mention this earlier, but at the time my idea for online play was buried in FPS, competition based, trying to be better than the next player. Cooperation? Sure, but usually in private missions, or planned campaigns with friends. Something you queued for, something you enter on purpose. But here, it surprised me, because there were signs that I wasn't the first one to pass through. Messages left by stranger, some were helpful, some were lies. There were bloodstains, a quiet echoes of someone else's last few seconds. This game was shared like a trail. People ahead of you, leaving traces. People behind you, walking into the same traps, everyone alone, together. It fit me perfectly. I could move at my own pace, make my own mistakes. And sometimes the trail answered back, with a mark on the floor, a summon sign. No demand, no commitment, no conversation, just a choice, alone or together. They turned solitude into something chosen, not forced. And then there were the black phantoms, the terror of that sudden message cutting through the silence. It felt like the world itself had decided you were no longer safe. Instant paranoia, instant tension. Every corner becomes suspicious. Every sound becomes too loud. That uncertainty made the entire game feel alive. It was this strange, perfect balance of solitude and connection. I was alone, and yet constantly reminded other souls are out there, watching, warning, helping, or hunting. Unfortunately, I can't experience all of that the way I did back then. The server shut down in 2018. But the system didn't vanish completely, because some traces are still there, specifically in Stonefang. You see that? Messages left by... Hey! Get back here! Come here, you little... Thank you. Anyway, as I was saying, messages. Left by the devs, the same way player did, giving tips for what was laying ahead. And it's a very neat solution, to help people without ever annoying them with a full-fledged tutorial. There is something similar in the Nexus itself, with small hints about the danger of this world. But here, it blends so perfectly with the game's mechanics that you could actually miss it. And on the same topic, they also use that type of phantom to intend new features, just like a we've crossed paths before, and I overlooked you, as you were part of what made this whole multiplayer thing click for me. But now you cross a line. And that laugh, those movement, it's too much to bear. I'll get you, all of you, every last one. Why it is always dogs? They don't give me time to do anything. There's the first one. You threw fireballs. But I'm prepared. Thanks, dragons. I'm coming! This feels good. I know your tricks. That was therapeutic. And it reminded me of an interaction I had just ahead, back in the day. The armor spider wasn't hard per se, it was predictable, and with a shield, almost laughable. Almost. There was one specific attack I just couldn't wrap my head around. Neither tanking or going to the side worked. I was stuck, out of ideas. And then I saw something, just a faint phantom, darting back into the tunnel. Something told me to try it. I ran back too. And it worked. A random stranger, who never even knew I existed, saved my day. And that interaction, it's been stuck in my head ever since. Before moving on, a small upgrade is needed. It will come in very handy in the near future. And at last, I look like a proper knight now. And while I'm continuing, I realize there's a nest of crystal lizards somewhere in this area. I think I'm close. Oh, definitely. And yeah.
It was at this moment that he knew.
I completely forgot about them. But I will not desist so easily. Oh, come on. At least one. Oh, and I lost them. I will release my anger on you now. Luckily, not long after, my frustration dispelled, as I ran into the very first incarnation of Patches. Hey man, how it goes? Still there to screw up the adventurers?
See that treasure over there? Go on and take it. It's my gift to you, just to show that we're
Yeah,
friends.
I see. But not this time. What are you making me do, Patches? It explodes too. Che monello che sei. Classic Patches.
You! How did you do that?
It's a secret, friend. What? Jokes aside, Patches and the Black Phantoms were memorable, even back then, but they were never the point. This part is, was, and will always be imprinted in my mind for different reasons. It wasn't because the scenery. Even though descending into the crater of a volcano should have felt grand, I barely even registered at the time. It wasn't the secrets or the treasure either, the ones that weighed me down over and over, forcing me to crawl back to the Nexus like a desperate pack mule. And it wasn't even the maze itself, claustrophobic, oppressive, with giant bareback blocking every path. No, none of that is what stayed with me. It was the time. Time spent failing, pushing myself through the same burning tunnels, again and again. Time spent turning that whole path into a perfect instinctive sprint, fueled by anger, fueled by vengeance, all because of him. I hope the kind fandom will show up again, just like last time, but every summon I called was torn apart, one after another, they all fell, and there I was, truly alone. I tried everything I had in my arsenal, but every attempt ended the same way. And each time, I was forced to run back through the level. At first, It felt like punishment. But those runs gave me time to think. Every time I faced him and died, something in my little brain clicked. After a few blasts, he always leapt twice. That was my window to heal. After every massive slam, he froze for just a split second. That was my chance to strike. There was a pattern, so I started weaving those small discoveries into each new attempt. Bit by bit, I pushed further, a quarter of his health, then half, then 2/3, and that's when I finally understood what this game really was. This wasn't a game built around the player, hand-holding you, begging you to press a button during some flashy quick-time event. This wasn't something you could lower the difficulty when things got tough. No. You had to adapt, you had to rise to it, because the game doesn't bend to the player, you bend to the game, and eventually I bend to the flame lurker. Coming to this realization left me thrilled and confident. Nothing could ever stop me again. I was ready to take down every demon. Or so I thought. Ma che cavolo? Look, I knew it was basically a gimmick fight. You just had to run and activate a few contraptions, damaging the dragon god and holding him still. But even now, I'm dying more times than I'm willing to admit, just trying to remember the flow. And of course, messing it up meant I couldn't get the Dragonborn Smasher. Goodbye, Graceward. Again. But we are going to discuss what it means later. As with the first Archdemon defeated, something was unlocked. Ho ho ho, what we have here. Yeah, run, coward. And of course there are dogs. At this point I'm expecting them to open the railings and pour out, but no. Rolling boulders are next on the menu. Throwing everything you got at me. You're actually scared, aren't you? Don't worry, I'll gladly unleash all this anger on your companions. Let me get prepared for the sweet, sweet moment. Hey! Have you missed me? I actually have. Oh! You're actually putting up a fight. Or maybe it's just me, a little too eager to feast on your demise. Ah. What? Australia? Sure. Let me save you.
Thank you for rescuing me.
Could you lend me a hand? Please? Oh, of course not. You never do. It could have been perfect, fighting shoulder to shoulder, holding the line against two red knights like a proper legend. Instead, you're hiding in a corner.
You saved my life. Now, I must go.
Yeah, as usual. You're really starting to piss me off. You know that? And with you actually fighting beside me, maybe I wouldn't have to recollect a nightmare. But instead, there it is. The stairway. There are too many enemies to deal with. The only reliable way I ever found to claw my way out of that chaos was to clear the archers and lure the knights one by one. It works, but my god, it's painfully slow. And I really don't want to spend another unbearable amount of hours trying to reach that gate, again and again, especially knowing what's waiting behind that fog. So, this time, we need to do something before I approach it. One of those officials has actually dropped a key, which, after a bit of backtracking, opens the door, leading to yet another sweet neutralization. And the sleepy guy just waiting for it.
You killed that vile insect and saved me. Go on ahead. I shall sleep a while.
And You know how it is in anime. The ones who can nap anywhere, they are important. So, reaching the fog and witnessing the best cutscene in the entire game.
You need some help? By the honor of the good knights.
Come on, Bjorn! Australia, look! This is what a really good guy is supposed to do. Help without being asked.
One more demon down!
You are a true hero. I look forward to your counsel. In the Nexus.
You may be a great demon hunter, but I fear you may not be ready.
You might be right.
The king is defended by the black souls of mighty knights and a fire-breathing dragon.
But I've been around long enough. I'll manage. No, I'm not. There are 3 Red Knights guarding the passage, and they operate as a perfect squad. I can lure them down one by one, and while Metas and Olan are fairly easy to deal with, Alfred is on another level. Not only does he carry a massive shield, one that makes my sword bounce off, leaving me wide open to a one-shot counterattack. His weapon has a special property too. Every hit degrades my equipment, and every failed attempt costs a painful amount of souls. Okay, you were right, BR.
Beware the limits of your own power.
Time to change plans. So, Shrine of Storm it is. I remember practically every inch of this place. I spent more time here than any other Hearthstone at the time, and for very good reasons. The basic ones roll like acrobats, and you always meet them with an archer aiming straight at your head, turning a simple fight into emotional chaos. Then there are the black ones, mini-bosses disguised as regular enemies, massive damage, and a nasty habit of jumping at you when you least expect it. And finally, the gold ones, slow to wind up, fast to strike, always placed in the most improbable spots, and often in pairs, ready to take you down the moment your concentration slips. Flying pests that snipe you with needle shots, their presence announced only by a directional in the sky, no clear source to track. Survival often came down to luck and hope. The heavens showed mercy. And as if that wasn't enough, the first appearance coincided with the second encounter of the Vanguard Demon. 2 nightmares, layered into one. Thanks From Software. You think that after all that, the first boss will be a menace. Surprisingly, it wasn't actually that difficult. Aim to the wound, strike to the head. But it was just the quiet surface before the waters turned violent. This is where the ordeal begins. They are spawned by the Reaper, a necromancer, capable of killing you with a single snap of his fingers. Sometimes he's guarded by lesser shades, offering a false sense of control. A lie that suggests the danger ahead can be managed. Sometimes he's hidden, leaving you alone with the purple shades, silent, watchful, and far more dangerous than the first appear. And worst of all, used as bait by the female shades, waiting you just out of sight, ready to strike from behind and leave you in the cold embrace of death. And lastly, the final obstacle. The old hero. For smart players, not too bad. For me, a brick wall. Massive damage. Huge health pool. Long reach. Similar to the Flame Lurker in a way. So at first my plan was the same. Learn the fight, step by step, death by death. Except here, the road to the fog was brutal. No shortcuts, no skipped enemies, no mercy. But again, repetition freed my mind. This time, it wasn't about the fight itself. Instead, every time I died, I kept seeing how many souls I was losing. And that's when it hit me. I could farm. I had no real sense of this strategy. Sure, I'd done it in other games, but always in totally different context. So I started experimenting. First, I tried with the storm beasts. There were plenty, and on paper they were easy to kill. But hitting them was the problem. This wasn't efficient. The skeletons were of course out of the question. Then I found the real jackpot. This rapier. Killing him granted me not only souls, but every soul of the nearby lesser shades as well. It was risky, yes, but it could be predictable. From the Hearthstone, it's just a short sprint, and with a well-timed dive, it was absolutely worth it. This was my second turning point. I kept farming until I was confident I could beat the boss, and then I defeated him. However, another archdemon, the Storm King, gave me a harsh reality check. You know, this type of bosses weren't really about difficulty, they were about atmosphere, about figuring out how to beat them, not with a sword, but with your mind. And mine, unfortunately, it wasn't ready. So I need to make a confession. From that moment on, I started relying on the strategy guide that came with the Black Phantom edition. I'm still a bit ashamed of that, but honestly, it was probably the only way I was going to progress from that point on. And if I had quit the game just to avoid using the guide, I'd probably be a very different gamer today. In hindsight, that choice actually helped me mature. Luckily, the guide was in English, and I wasn't very good at the language back then. So, half the challenge became deciphering the book. Of that half, I know the half out of laziness, misreading the other half through confusion. At least, it fitted the spirit of the game perfectly. And there was also a silver lining. With that guide, I uncovered some of the game's most cryptic secrets. Things I probably never would figure out by myself. For example, learning that boss souls actually had uses. And it was thanks to a particular NPC. Reaching her required going back to the same place where Bior was imprisoned, just to loot a key from one of the official corps. That key opens two grated doors in the third area of Boletaria, leading to a tower. Which finally... Oh, yeah, I also need a disguise. Because to lower those stairs, you have to pretend to be one of the officials. And that disguise, you guessed it, is on another official corpse, a cap that you must equip. Yeah, pretty lengthy process. But it let me free this witch, Yuria, who offered powerful cursed spells, and one of those gave me a chance to a cheeky little victory in the present. You know what's coming. Yeah! And by the way, those rare materials were tied to yet another mechanic I had discovered back then in the very same area. Boss Soul Weapons. Blacksmithed allows you to forge some of the most unique and powerful armaments in the game. But to craft them, you didn't just hand over the Flamelurker's soul, which you probably thought after your first encounter with him. You also needed the right base weapon upgraded to the proper level. A bit too much for me at the time. Even if I could catch the hints hidden in the dialogue, and I really couldn't, it would have been very, very tough to discover by my own. However, all of that made me wonder, how many layers did this game hide that my mind couldn't even imagine? Back then, I was used to games where everything was clearly revealed, or at least hidden in plain sight. Not here. Here, I was just scraping the surface. There's a thing called word tendency, and it is a mechanic that you can find only on an experimental game such as this. Each area can shift between pure white and pure black, entirely based on your actions. Do good, kill demons, defeat invading black phantoms, and the world drifts toward white. Die in body form, or murder the wrong NPC, and it slides toward black. These shifts actually matter. White tendency makes the world a little more forgiving. Black makes it harsher and far more dangerous. And when you push things to the extremes, the world changes. New NPCs appear, hidden paths open, primeval demons crawl out of the dark, and some of the coolest rewards in the game reveal themselves. Stuff like the Bone Smasher. Back then, all of those rewards were completely out of reach for me. Too many dead. But now, one event I want and experience more than anything is finally within reach. He only appears in pure white tendency.
I am Satsuki. I seek a keepsake of my father. Have you seen the sword inscribed? Makoto, I will offer you demon souls if you can help me find it.
This is a nice deal you offer me, and I know exactly where to find what you want. Of course it's there.
Oh, hello again.
My dear.
That pit there is filled with treasure. But, I can't get to it myself.
And of course he wants me to just go take a look. This time I need to fall for it. Just for you, my darling. As he actually led me to a real treasure. On the rock. This world isn't reachable in neutral tendency, but in pure white, the corpse falls. This is a lovely weapon, perfectly suited for the whip I was. It deals massive damage, at the cost of draining your HP. And it also looks so good on me, but I need to know what kind of swords he would grant me in exchange. And hey, I'm a good guy. I'll hand it over. Hey, Satsuki! I found it.
Expecting the Makoto to warm up to you. Nonsense. Your very touch soils her impeccable
Wait,
hilt.
what?
May you plunge to the depths of hell for your unsavory insolence.
No. You misunderstood. Yeah, I messed that one up. Well, at least I'm way cooler now. But maybe I can turn things to my advantage. Because that mistake actually pushed the world heavily toward black tendency. And there was something else I had always wanted to experience. Primeval demons. They only show up in pure black tendency. And back then, I never willingly make the game harder. So, I have no idea what they are or what awaits me. So, it's time to die. Okay, now it should be enough. So, into the ritual path, through the illusionary wall, setting the scene for an epic encounter and... What is that? I was expecting some legendary battle, not a motionless blob sitting in a corner. Expectations really can be a detriment to the experience, can they? Alright, fine. It's time to move forward then, and at least I'll have something tangible to recollect. Even a strategy guide couldn't prepare me. And if you were wondering why I didn't go to Latria before the Shrine of Storm, back then I didn't understand how to progress. And I was absolutely terrified of this place. I had never played anything that leaned fully into horror, no Silent Hill, no Resident Evil, nothing. So, when I step into Latria, their knees hit immediately. Screams echoing from somewhere deep. Empty cells of no purpose, no treasure, no reward. Just twisted torture device. And a skeletal prisoner begging for help. Everything felt wrong. The deeper I went, the more the silence felt staged. And that voice that ripped through the stone.
Help me!
It didn't sound like a plea, it sounded like a siren call. Something meant to draw me deeper into the dark, where something was waiting. Out of nowhere, a flash of green light will lock your entire body in place, helpless, as the mind flayer's tentacles lead forward to finish the job. It didn't matter if you knew what to do, it didn't matter if you were strong, if the dread got under your skin, if you let it take hold, you were already dead. And I was completely wrapped in it. The layout didn't help. It wasn't just difficult, it was a maze. Trying to remember which key opened which door, which corridor I had already explored, only pulled me deeper into the madness. Like the tower itself was alive, and apparently psychological torture wasn't enough. By the time I reached the final stretch, my nerves were shredded. And that's when she appeared. A boss perfectly crafted for this place. She creates illusion of herself, forcing you to constantly question what's real. Traps wait in every corner. Magic that rips through your chest. And when you finally drain her health, you're not done.
Ye fools know nothing of the world. The idols shall be revived for eternity. Rejoice, fools, for it is as you wished.
You have to explore deeper, find the real source of her power. And then fight the nightmare all over again. And by then, there was only one thought left in my head. Yes, please, just take me to heavens. But Latria hadn't had enough of me yet, because it was here that I discovered one of my worst enemies. One that feeds on fear, one that doesn't scale with leveling, one every Souls player knows and respects for its cruel inevitability. Gravity. Most of this place is constructed to serve it. It is built to make you misstep, narrow bridges guarded by flying gargoyles, forcing your gaze upward so you stop paying attention to your foot. They swoop, they ambush you, and they panic you into the desperate roll that sends you straight into oblivion. At least, gravity wasn't an enemy reserved just for me. Even the abomination of flesh, suspended at the heart of this place, was chained above the abyss. Awaiting its own fall. But somewhere in that unease, I also made what I believed was a merciful choice. Freeing Yurt, the Silent Chief.
I have bad news. There's a rumor that the Silent Chief Yurt has infiltrated Boletaria.
Back then, I didn't understand. I assumed it was just another prisoner, another tortured soul like all the others. I didn't realize I had unleashed something worse than anything before. Because he didn't stab you there. He waits, returning quietly to the Nexus where he calmly begins murdering the people who keep your world alive. Allies erased. It was horror disguised as courtesy, the perfect cruelty for someone like me.
And for that, I must thank you.
And yet, Latria still had more to show What began as psychological terror slowly mutated into something grotesque. As the cage carried me down into hell, it was like stepping into something's stomach. Pools of some unknown substance clung to my boots. Tentacles pulsed and coiled along the walls as veins exposed to open air. And the things that dwell here, centipede-like creatures dragging themselves across bone and splintered hood, slithering through the gore. I tried to climb up, desperately seeking escape, only to be blocked by Black Phantom's mind flayer ready to feed on my fears. And just when I thought the nightmare might well end, the dead flesh of the abomination stirred. A swarm of centipedes awakened, crawling across the bridges, making every step more treacherous than the last. And when I finally reached the top, it did not lead to salvation, only to damnation. The Man-Eater. The moment you begin to glimpse hope. The moment you think you've learned the pattern. Another descends, and the fight collapses into chaos. Hesitation means death. You must conquer your fear and strike fast. And then there was another demon, waiting at the top of another set of stairs. Only this time, it wasn't hunting me. I wasn't the one climbing. I let someone else do it. The horror changed sides. Because I was the boss. I had always loved the invasion system in Demon's Souls. Becoming a Black Phantom was already intoxicating, but this was different. To be summoned as an archdemon, to become the final obstacle, to hunt the players instead of being hunted. This was a dream come true. I spent hours staring at the wall, waiting to be called into another world, imagining the fear and awe in the eyes of the invaded. This type of invasion were rare, but each one stayed with me. This was pure magic. Magnifico. But dreams don't last long in Demon's Souls. And after that, it woke me up. The Valley of Defilement. Yet another type of horror, one where rot, misery and corruption replace sharp terror with a suffocating dread. The first enemies looked pathetic, starved silhouettes dragging themselves through the mire. But the deeper I went, something shifted. Not only in them, more twisted, more diseased, but in me. And after facing the Lichmonger, a boss made of filth, a creature that drains your health with every touch, I realized something unsettling. Fear wasn't enough anymore, and in the moment the area suddenly expanded, survival stopped being my goal. Clearing the level wasn't enough. I wanted to explore. With the guide on my hand, it was still a terrible realization to have in this place. Previous area had direction. Even when hidden, the path was implied. Here, the path is swallowed. Faded lights flicker in the distance. And as I slogged through the swamp, I kept thinking that maybe, just maybe, priceless treasure were hidden out there. And for a moment, the mire didn't feel endless. But that illusion didn't last long. The deeper I push, the more faint lights twist into will-o-wisp. And then, the myth cleaver. The math thickened, my steps slowed. A blunt answer to curiosity. Every treasure tucked into the blackness was guarded by something waiting. Every step toward the unknown came with the crack of a club from behind, the sting of blood-sucking insects. But I kept going, because the valley had awakened something in me. A stubborn, reckless need to go further. And for a reason. The swamp of sorrow is a place of contrasts. The deeper you wade into filth, the more purity you begin to uncover. Buried in the muck, a star. Pulling out felt like dragging a miracle out of a nightmare. A shard of clarity in a place designed to erase hope. But purity here demands a price. Beyond it, the horror deepens. The hearts of the depraved rise from the mud like infections, leaning, sagging, breathing rot. You don't walk to them, you wade shoulder to shoulder with everything the world tried to throw away. And at the furthest point of the swamp, where rot no longer drips, but settles into the bone of things, where a demon of carrion and refuse claws at your body. The swamp becomes a grave. The air becomes grief. And there, she waits. A saint surrounded by suffering, her pure presence sitting in the single most corrupted place. Calm, serene, it shouldn't exist. And yet that impossible contrast makes the horror hit harder than anything that came before. Here, the scariest thing isn't the rot, it's the purity that survives inside it.
Leave us, slayer of demons. This is a sanctuary for the lost and wretched. There is nothing here for you to pillage or plunder. Please, leave quietly.
Girl Vinland defends her with unwavering faith.
You will not turn back. I shall let no harm come to dearest destroyer. I can roam in the deepest depths of this swamp.
But he isn't the true threat. The real danger is the ground beneath you. A misstep doesn't end the fight though. Instead, it offers mercy, a fragile chance to recover. And then, they take it back. After Girl Vinland finally falls,
Destroyer, I have failed you.
you expect the fight to continue. You expect resistance. But the maiden doesn't raise a hand.
You killed him, didn't you? Very well. I can no longer resist you. Do as you like. Take your precious demon soul.
Instead, she chooses. Horror had done its work. One taught me how to endure dread. The other forced me to question why I was moving forward at all. I couldn't articulate it back then. Still, something had changed. It was subtle, unformed, and I didn't yet understand what it meant. But here I was, to approach. Back then, I still had a messy attitude. I wasn't sure how to approach the final area of Boletaria. On one side, I wanted to move quickly, eager to see what the finale would reveal. On the other, a feeling was starting to grow. One, I thought I had settled in the valley, but I hadn't. Hubris took over and pushed me forward. I was convinced that progress meant understanding. So, when the final test came, I looked for certainty instead of confrontation, and it led only to disappointment. However, this time, I don't want to repeat the same mistake. So I'm taking you with me, fully into the present, and together we slow down and we prepare. First, we need a specific talisman, one that lets us cast both spells and miracles. We don't have it yet, so we had the Stonefang, in pure black tendency. From the second Hearthstone, we head right, and start going down through this sketchy scaffolding, carefully platforming, trying to not fall into oblivion. And wait, that area looks familiar. No way. This is a shortcut. An actual shortcut. Oh my gosh. Oh no. I spent hours in this zone years ago. There's a whole section of this video building up my descent toward the Flame Lurker. And there's a skip that basically bypasses most of it. Oh, 15 years. 15 years! It took making a YouTube video for me to discover this. Wow. Well, I'm not changing the video now. Sorry, cut. Trying to not fall into oblivion. And face the Black Phantom. It is not an easy task. But after some attempts, it goes down. And we finally claim the talisman. The armor that made me fall in love with Demon Souls. That classic European knight look. Grounded, iconic. The full knight set is just right. We already own it, but the issue is endurance. If we equip it fully, we lose the fast roll. And I'm not giving it up before the final stretch. So, we farm a bit.
A little longer than a few minutes later.
And level up. But not just endurance. We are going to need a few other stats too, for what comes next. I love the Makoto, but stylistically it doesn't match what we're building here. So, to craft what we really need, we head to Blacksmith Heads. With a brilliant sword and the Maiden Soul. Yeah, blue blood baby. It's a straight sword, which means a familiar moveset. Versatility is key. And it can also be buffed with magic, which fits our hybrid build perfectly. And then, to add the final touch, the Ida shield is solid, reliable, but it's not quite right. Instead, the Dark Silver shield is strong defenses, and it doesn't compromise the fashion we're committing to. If we're stepping into the end, we step in properly. And now, it really feels like everything is coming together. Stats adjust, gear aligned, identity locked in. Ready to face the Gatekeeper before the final act. Sword buffed and shield up. We are going to need a more aggressive version of the first Black Knight tactic. Yeah, good. That's a lot of damage. He's already at the brink of death. And that's it? Wait, no. This was too easy. All this preparation worked too well. Maybe... yeah, pure black tendency could do the trick. If the ward won't push back, I'll make it. Now, there's a real chance some enemies can one-shot us. We have to stay calm and not overcommit. Especially against a Black Knight. Wait for the counter and... oh, there's an archer. Better to not be boxed in here. Now! Back off and... good. Archers next. 1 and 2. Then push toward the top of the tower, where another knight blocks the path. Same tactic. Okay. That's not what I meant to do. Still fine, still alive. Wait, I thought I cleared the archers. Ah, an assassin. Good trade. Bad for you. Oh, an old friend. I'm not running this time. I have an objective now. You die. It will take some time. However, I'm soon realizing that I don't have enough arrows. Alright, back to the Nexus. To visit our good friend. Let's get back to action then. Lure the night out. We're not dead. I didn't explain this yet. The reason we wanted the talisman in the first place is to use a miracle that saves us from death once. Very useful when almost everything has a chance to one-shot you. Anyway. Archers down. An assassin dealt with. Black Knight next. I didn't expect that. Focus, focus. We have second chance, but we are not invincible. Falafel! Die, die, die! Whoa, that was close. Actually, the miracle didn't even trigger. Good. Now, you. First phase, done. Oh, what we have here. The dragon already killed one of you. I'm so sorry. I wanted that myself. Not enough, boy. Whoa, whoa, that was enough. Let's back off. And I need to remember, careful, pure blood tendency. Yeah, that's the way. And this is where we face the dragon, Bior. He stands there, baiting the flames, giving us a window, but we are saving our hero. If I remember correctly, these pillars... No, it's fine. We still have a second shot. Second attempt. What? We died to the first knight. I forgot to cast second chance. Third attempt. This time I sure remember. Yeah, you don't get a second chance. An assassin volunteers for death. Second knight still almost kill me. Every time. You know the drill here. The dragon is such a chore. Better to take my time here. I'm not sure about the timing. Maybe now. Oh, okay. Come on. Yes, finally. That's it. It's time to end this. Yeah, this happened to me, and the recording was lost. I was pissed, as you might guess. No auto safety net on Demon Souls, quick saves, overwrote everything. I didn't lose much in terms of progress, but I lost something else. The Blue Dragon's fall, and Bjorn, screaming before turning his blade on me. There was a hint it was about to happen, but the question remained, why? I checked the footage, I never hit him, I searched online, and nothing meaningful appeared. So the only reason I could come up with was karma. Yeah, I know, but still, the recording gone, Bjorn turning hostile, everything pointing back at me. You reap what you sow, they said. So maybe it was karma. My attitude catching up to me. I treated you too harshly, didn't I, Ostravia?
Oh, it's you, is it? My father is up above. Well, what's left of him anyway? He's transformed into a fiendish demon.
Every time we crossed paths, I expected more from you. Strength, independence, reliability. Instead, you kept failing. And I started seeing you as a burden.
I began this quest in a search for truth. But it seems I was a fool to even try. Please, kill my father. In his degenerated state, he can only bring peril to the lands.
But in this broken world, you never lost yourself. You endured.
This key fits the Boletaria mausoleum. Inside the mausoleum are my father's two swords, Soulbrand and Demonbrand. Use them to bring an end to this madness.
And at the end, you entrust me with everything. No, I can't continue like this. My build isn't complete. We need to go back to where our first obstacle stood. Before, it felt monumental. Now, it's another story.
Thou who seeketh the king's sword, I am the old king. Show me thine strength, and the strength of thine souls.
I will prove my worth. And that sword is not a reward. It's a responsibility.
Thou dost well to impress one such as me, young knight. Go forth and take the king's sword in thine hand.
The final piece of the puzzle. Not because it makes me stronger, but because it reminds me who I have become. You made me remember myself. While you endured this broken world, I was trying to consume it. Now I will carry your spirit and overcome the man I was. I couldn't face him fairly back then. I borrowed power. I hid behind dark arts. No more. Ah, those air slashes, they catch me every time. And that blast, I need to understand exactly how far it reaches. It's probably the only safe moment to cast Second Chance. My emotions also got the better of me. I'm too scared to punish his openings, especially the sprint attack. It can one-shot, but it's also probably the best moment to take some of his HP. Thinking about strategy while running past enemies. Great. Just great. Anyway, in the last attempt, I also avoided the worst attack Alan has. Now, I just need to stay focused. No, it caught me. That grab drains a level. The last stat you level, to be precise, which put me in Fatwal. Without that mobility, the fight is impossible. But I don't want to overfarm just in case he grabs me again. Nevertheless, I still need to recover that level. At least, some things are improving. The sprint attack is becoming clear now. I must evade it and punish in the opening. If I land my hits in that window, I can even stagger him. And I'm correctly starting to use his blast attack to my advantage. But all those air slashes are still punishing me far too often. I need to start experimenting. That was very close. Healing in front of him was a big mistake. Also, mastering his best opening is starting to make me greedy. And I overcommitted more than once. I need to remember. 2 attacks, then roll away. However, while the experimentation is starting to pay off, the air slashes are still my biggest weakness. At least, the small trick works. That keeps the fast roll. But in the end, I just need to stay calm and be patient. I got this. For you, Australia.
How did you defeat my precious demon? No human has an appetite for souls such as you. The rest is up to the Old One. If it is to be, then you shall be beckoned.
Old One, I have brought thee what thou wishest, thy new demon. Come now, be good.
And this marks the end of our journey. At the time, Demon Souls made me realize that the gaming scene was larger than I had imagined. Games that shifted the focus toward your perspective, your journey existed. Here, failure wasn't something to erase. Losing became part of the road itself. Each mistake shaped the way I moved forward, the way I faced the next obstacle. The struggle wasn't a punishment. It was my story taking form. It showed me that experience didn't need to be staged or explained. The protagonist wasn't there to interpret the world for me. It existed only as a vessel, a link to my own experience, a quiet presence through which everything was felt, learned, and endured. And so yeah, I was often alone, sometimes watched, sometimes helped, sometimes betrayed, never fully certain who or what might cross my path. There were also moments when the world itself felt hostile, when silence lingered too long and every step forward carried unease. In that uncertainty, mystery and discovery were allowed to exist on their own, not as puzzles demanding answers, but as truths I could live without fully understanding. And, in hindsight, that's why it still stings that I relied on a guide. I believed games were meant to be apparent, that beneath the surface there was little more than collectibles. Demon's Souls proved me wrong. And I robbed myself of something by not trusting the unknown. Not anymore. I stopped consuming experience and began discovering them. Of course, there were other games in that era that pushed my boundaries, but Demon's Souls was the turning point. The moment my perspective shifted.
My thanks. At last, my duty is fulfilled.
And from that moment on, I approached games differently. Yet, something was still missing. Or perhaps, a link had yet to be broken. If this journey taught me how to build my own story through struggle, silence, and discovery, the next step was inevitable. Not to create my narrative, but to become part of it. To be a Grey Warden.